Hi and welcome to Phoenix Crypto. My name's Andy and welcome to another edition of Market Watch. This is actually the second time I've recorded this video today, simply because the first time I recorded it, I made a prediction that we were at the bottom, just as we were starting to dip, and which I shorted. And by the time that I finished recording the video, we'd bounced and started getting a nice move up, which we have done. So what exactly is going on? So if I go to firstly the daily, and you'll have to forgive the yellow lines here. Let me just get rid of that. Clearly you can see that we're in a channel. You can see that here. You can see we've made this wave up here. We've gone up, one final FOMO peak, and then we've dipped. We have pumped, dipped, and we're now into a pump. What will be very, very interesting is, are we going to pump to over here, which is quite nice. That's another $2,500 before we move down and make a lower low, or is this now the bottom and we're going to start moving up? I think this is now the bottom. In my previous video, which is only a few hours old and already massively out of date, my prediction was, well, firstly, why are we at the bottom? I think 40k is both a psychological level and also has a huge buy wall. Why do we know, or how do we know it's a huge buy wall? We know looking at this wick. If we look over here, we dipped to 42, and yeah, we retraced up back to, I think it was about 49, on a daily, and that looks pretty good, and it was. But we actually, if I go to a lower time frame, settled around the I think it was like the 47k mark. Where we dipped down here, the reaction when we jumped back up again was fairly immediate. It was extraordinarily quick, and that was it was a very strong bounce. And the reason why it was such a strong bounce is the amount of liquidity that is sitting in that pocket. And while 46k, for those of you who remember up here, which we retested quite a few times, was strong. I think we tested 6 or 7 times before it finally broke. This much stronger. The Fear and Greed Index was showing, I think it was around 10 when it was down here, and probably it's around about 17, 18, maybe 20 now, and this is extremely strong. And typically, you buy when the price is down, you sell when the price is high. Sounds common sense, I know, but when the market's dipping, they say buy the dip. Now, there's a difference between buying the dip when it's at the bottom and buying the dip when you've got no idea if it's at the bottom or not. You're just buying it in the hope that it's at the bottom, and you end up losing even more money when price drops even further. So this is very interesting. So for me, I think that is at the bottom. I mean, you can see also, I love cryptograph here with the Keltner band. Big fan of that. That absolutely, we're showing we're starting to move into the Keltner band. Now, what does that really represent? Well, the Keltner band is a visual representation of RSI, which is the so I think for most traders, you understand what RSI is. Well, this is a visual representation of that, and we can clearly see as you get towards the bottom. So here's a good example. You reverse. If I was to scroll up as we get towards the top, we reverse. So it's incredibly useful, and is largely undervalued, I think, by a lot of traders who prefer Bollinger Bands, which are also very useful. But I think Keltner is very good for spotting possible reversals. But it's easy to think, well, this reversal didn't work out, and this one didn't work out, and but that's where you've got to use other indicators, other technical analysis to kind of guide you, and this is showing this could be a real reversal from here, and we've been in this downward pattern for some time. One thing I will say about my prediction that 40k is the bottom is that there is nothing to support that. Okay, so if I go to this is VMC Morpheus, if I go to the monthly, looks pretty ugly, that VWAP, red dot, nothing looks particularly good there. If I go to the 2 week, that clear divergence, we're coming down, that VWAP is pointing down, similarly very ugly. If I go to a weekly view, it'll probably start looking a little bit better. This looks like a nice trigger wave, and actually this auto trend line, which is from an indicator called Trendline Pro for indicators, one of my favorite indicators, worth buying. This hitting this trend line is probably the most bullish thing on any of the charts I can see so far, simply because these trend lines act as support and resistance, just as they would do on price action, and therefore it is extremely bullish for me. If I was to look at Wolfpack Pro, you can see that outward turn Bollinger Band's turning red, quite bearish. That's been bearish for some time. I'm not going to go to a monthly view, or even the daily view. Let's have a look. That's a little bearish. It's cooling off a bit, and it's probably due to kind of print a bullish signal, which it might well do soon. Or you can see heavily oversold. So on a daily, we're just so far down. Acceleration wave, monster wave, that's starting to come up. So I think if we get to the 0 mark, I think that would be extremely bullish, and we could be in for some good times. Look at that, and I can tell you, that period in October was very very nice. So that is optimistic if it comes up here. What is going to happen next? So we're at 42,800 give or take, and it looks like a very nice big pump. I got in quite late, simply because I shorted down to here, took some profit, kept it at entry at stop loss, stop loss at entry, and really only got in, probably up here because I was took a phone call. So you snooze, you lose, as they say. Look at RSI. Look how low that is. Very very low, under 30 on a daily, pointing straight up. Looks like we've got a lot of room to go before we hit this trend line, but ultimately if we're going to get out of this kind of downward trend, gotta break this, very very clear. If I go to 4 hour, I bet we're out of trend line. No, we're not, but you can see, although we didn't touch this, you can see this line of trend line providing a line of support, and we're heading up, and look at the angle of that. That is quite sharp, and I think that's reflected on price action, just what's going on. So what do I think is going to happen? I think we're going to put in a higher low, and I think this is the start. We can see some auto trend lines here, quite important trend lines, I would say. Still got, look, we've got to get to another $2,000 before we get to that point. Could we do it? Possibly. Be very interesting. One thing that will be interesting, if I go to a 30-minute, I expect, and this is the value of the Keltner band when it appears, I expect that we're getting towards the top of that, which, guess what, we are at a trend line here, and you know, again, this will show on a short-term time frame overbought. So what will need to happen is we can pump up, but at some point we'll either need to dip down or we will go sideways and then we'll go up. Okay, I'm trying to see if I can find a good example of what I think might happen, and if I go to a 4 hour, let's bring this down. Well, let's bring this down. This is what I think can happen. I think we can start moving into an upward channel. So if you can imagine here, this is like where we are now. We've had this downward channel. At some point, and I'll need to draw a trend line to show where that point is, we'll need to break out of there, we'll retest it, and then we'll start going up. It feels like we're doing this at the moment. I might be being a bit premature, maybe we're here, but I feel like we are starting to make that upward journey, and we'll start to move into a channel. How quick will we move into that channel? Could be a bit difficult. And again, if I go to let me go to Wolfpack Pro, you know, so this, let me just make sure I've got my dates right. So this was the beginning, end of September, beginning of October. Massive pump, massive, brilliant. Look at these trigger waves, right? Okay. And then let's go to here. We don't have these trigger waves yet. You know, we're still quite a way. And you know, what am I expecting? Expecting to dip down a little bit more. So on Wolfpack Pro, that dip is that kind of darker purple. If I go to here, that dip is another one of these, right? So what am I expecting? We're going up, we might come down, touch that, back up again. Need to form trigger waves. You know, it's the basics of market cipher and all of these kind of momentum based oscillators. Okay, so that's what I'm really expecting, and what I want to see. What does that mean? We might have more volatility. You know, price might come up to here or here and head back down again. You know, but the most important thing is if we can try not to make a lower high. You know, is it possible? Absolutely. If I go back to Bitcoin, you know, the other thing I'll say is, and these yellow lines that I had earlier on, we're trying to show a head and shoulders pattern, and on the daily, and if it played out, we'd be going to 36k. You know, but I just didn't see the how we could make that, you know, as good as the pattern looked. You know, when there is one, you can see there's a shoulder. This one's maybe a bit of a stretch because it's more of a wick. You know, you could say it's a lower shoulder. You know, I'm just not sure it's gonna pan out. And there's a difference between what I think will happen and what I can see happening. At the moment, I can't see anything yet. I mean, you could argue we are still in this range. Okay, could still argue that, which we are, and we've got to break out of it. I think we're probably at this point now. If we break out of that, you know, that could be quite interesting. But we got to cool off though. We got to cool off because, you know, go back to the 30-minute. If I can find where cryptograph is. I'm not sure if I can see it on the list. You know, that Keltner band will be in that Keltner band. We'll be absolutely in that, and that's the reason why. You know, you can see there we're just cooling off, and it doesn't help. We've got a trend line and a fib line here. So, you know, if you're in some profit, now's a good time to take some. just want to have a look at the macro level view here on the bull market support band. I mean, we've clearly dipped, bit like over here really. We're probably midway, I think. How this dip by the end of the week, where will we be? I think we'll be back up here. What would that be? 46k. That would be quite good. That'd be quite good. And I think this will be very similar to that candle. It will be a little body, big wick. You know, does that mean that we'll dip down? I don't think it means anything at this point. We could do, might not do. Maybe this is it. You know, maybe we'll have one more, and then we'll start moving up. You know, again, just talking about what are the bullish signs. You know, this is not bullish. These candles on the histogram are not bullish yet. What we need to do is get to that kind of lighter colour. Not there yet. We do have a close on a 2 week at the end of this week, so be a big close, and I would argue, I think we know it's going to be, you know, very red. It's the next one that I'll be interested in. Is that if that starts to go up, we could argue we're out. I wouldn't say we're quite out of the woods, but it could be the best sign. What I would say is look at this, or this one goes down, suddenly dips some more, right? So we do have to be careful about that. I mean, you could argue, and look, you could argue there's only 2 months in between, right? We've dipped, you know, so you know, you could argue that we've been quite bearish for the last you know, half a year. That said, we've still managed to make all-time highs, right? So it can't be that bearish. Be very interesting. But really, I want to start seeing these lighter coloured, and we can be more optimistic. You know, if we start getting to, you know, we've got to be out of it quicker than this, and I think we will. I think there's too much money now in crypto for us to dip down to like 30k. I do. What I would say, I don't have anything here, and I will try and it's an ambition to kind of get some on-chain data and present it on here. I think that'd be really useful for people. But we are seeing massive leverage. I think the amount of leverage on Bitcoin is at an all-time high, which means people are either are probably trying to short the bottom, thinking, you know, can we push it down? It's on this downward trend, you know. I think you know, we'll get increased volatility. If you are not good at reading the market, I think that's quite bad news. I think if you can read charts, you're good at analysis, you absolutely can make good money out of the volatility, and it's the volatility which really makes us the money. If we can, you know, long the bottoms, short the tops, you know, all that kind of thing, that would be great. So it's just really important that we understand the kind of conditions in the market. So, you know, what does volatility mean? It means you know, you take a profit. You know, you bank money. You don't just sit there hoping, thinking it's gonna just keep going up, because it might not. That's the reality. It might not go up. You know, and nothing goes up forever. You know, we see this here and we think, oh gosh, you know, this is just to the moon, right? But at some point it comes down. You know, I never thought we'd see 40k again, and we have. We've technically seen 39k, right? I don't think we'll go below that, but you never know. And this is what we love about crypto, right? Keeps us guessing, keeps us on our toes. I want to wrap it up there. I hope that's been useful. If you like the content, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate the support. There's the Discord address down below. Feel free to jump in and join our community. Thanks very much.